we need to cease from every form of hypocrisy. Go back to verse 2 of Matthew chapter 23, verse 2. Now it says, saying the scribes and the Pharisees, they sit in Moses' seat. They sit and serve in Moses' seat without salvation. That is service without salvation. Hypocrites, they serve in religion. They serve in some religion. It may be in the church, it may be in another religion. Any religion you are involved in and you do not have salvation, you are not free from sin, you are an hypocrite despite the service you are engaging in. Look at verse 3. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do, but do not after their works, for they say and do not. They say and do not. They teach and they do not practice. That is, they are living contrary to what they teach. Hypocrites, they preach, but they don't practice what they preach. Hypocrites, they teach, but they don't do what they teach. They have form of godliness, but they are unrighteous, they are ungodly, they are unholy. Look at verse 4. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulder, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. They bind heavy burdens on the people. They have heavy rule, many laws of men. When we have a denomination that multiply rules for their members, multiply rules for their workers, multiply rules for their minister, that church need to be careful. That is becoming an hypocritical denomination, an hypocritical church. We should not have too many rules that shock up the grace of God in the life of the people. Look at verse 5. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They do it to be seen of men. They make broad their proselytes and enlarge the borders of their garment. That is, they want to be seen of men, looking to be walking to be seen of men. What they are doing is eye service. If you are involved in eye service, you are also an hypocrite. Number 6, and love the uppermost room at the feast, and the chief seat in the synagogue. You see what hypocrites do? They love the uppermost room, the chief seat. They seek position in the church. They are position seekers. Number 6, that is from verse 7 to verse 10. And greetings in the market, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. They want men to call them masters. And be ye not called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ, and all ye are brethren. When we have a leader in the church who is so conscious of his religious title, you must call me pastor so and so, pastor doctor so and so, PhD so and so, a master this thing so and so. When you are so conscious of your title, it may be a religious title you are so conscious of, it may be a professional title you are so conscious of. You want to be called master, you are an hypocrite. And call no man your father upon the head, for one is your father which is in heaven. Neither be ye called master, for one is your master, even Christ. But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. If you want to cease from being an hypocrite, you must have the attitude of servanthood. I pray the grace of God will come mightily into our lives to be so in Jesus' name. Number 7, the people that are hypocrites. Look at verse 11. Verse 12, and whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. If you exalt yourself, God said, the Lord said, Jesus says, you will be abased. What we're seeing is that those that are hypocrites, they seek to be the greatest, not servant. But we who are seeking to honor God, who are saying we do not longer want to be an hypocrite, you will not be seeking human recognition and arrogance. What then do we do to overcome every form of hypocrisy in our life? Is to number A, avoid every form of hypocrisy. Avoid every form of hypocrisy. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 16. Moreover, when ye fast, be not as the hypocrites of a sad countenance, for they disfigure their faces, and that they may appear unto men to fast. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. Avoid every form of hypocrisy. Beware of the hypocrites and their practices. Beware of the hypocrites and their practices. In Matthew chapter 7 verse 15, it says, beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep clothing, but inwardly are ravening wolves. Beware of the hypocrites and their practices. Verse 16, ye shall know them by their fruit. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of tissue? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth corrupt fruit. We must beware of the hypocrites and their practices. Finally, consciously serve the Lord with sincerity. Consciously serve the Lord with sincerity. In John chapter 4, Jesus himself told us in verse 24, John 4, verse 24, God is a spirit. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. And how do we do that? We worship God in sincerity. We serve God in sincerity. We do not go with people who are hypocrites in their action, who are hypocrites in their secret, who do in secret what they condemn in public. In Joshua chapter 24, Joshua 24 verse 14. Now therefore fear the Lord and serve him in sincerity and truth. Put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the flood and in Egypt, and serve ye the Lord. How do you serve God? Consciously serve the Lord with sincerity. Avoid every form of hypocrisy. Beware of the hypocrites and their practices. Consciously serve the Lord with sincerity, and we will overcome every form of hypocrisy in life, in practice, in secret, and in public, in Jesus' name.